Okay, so I don't know how to start. Yes, you're reading preemptively, but I'm gonna show some pictures because I don't know how to start this video. So we're just gonna go from image to image. Who is this character?
It's Marvel.
Yeah, okay, it's a Marvel character. What would you name this character?
He's green and he's got a life, I think. Darn it, all I can think is Carmen Sandiego, and all I want to say is Graham.
Graham?
Graham.
His name is Screen Time.
I was talking about his human name, but okay.
Well, I like his superhero name. But like you already
Screen
said,
Time, Mr. Wi-Fi.
Mr. Wi-Fi?
Mr. Wi-Fi.
That's when he grows up and realizes he needs to be a villain is Mr. Wi-Fi.
Mr. Wi-Fi.
Okay, I'm just thinking of superhero names right now. I don't know the human names for any of these characters. What are the names of these two? And if you can decide, what are their genders?
Man, woman, slushy, cherry bomb. I don't know.
Okay, so the one in the blue suit is non-binary, and the pink suit is a boy. They're Snowflake and Safe Space. The insults that boomers give us.
Oh,
They're twins.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, I was thinking that I know the emblems are hints. I didn't know they were just look at the emblem and you can get something. Because I saw Snowflake and it was like something called Slushy. And then Cherry because it looks like a group of cherries.
He's got Steven Universe powers.
He
He makes shields. Okay, what is this character's name?
Vampire.
He is a vampire. Is that all you're gonna give him?
Sparkly metallic boy.
Sparkly metallic. His name is B negative. Like both the blood type and the statement.
B negative. Marvel, you need better names.
Okay. What would you name this character? I know what she looks like. You get negative points if you say what she looks like.
Techno freak?
How in the... Okay, you actually need to watch, like one, but like all where anything where
What did you?
She does not look like Techno Freak. Great. One Techno Freak is a DC character.
What is she supposed to look like?
Her superhero name is Trailblazer. People on the internet currently think she looks like a Dora the Explorer.
No! Dora is much more white.
Oh, wow. That's like, I'm just gonna say that right now. That flat out, that's racist.
Okay, no, I must say it right now. Dora is much more, I don't want to say brighter, no. Okay.
It's a different style.
It is a different style, so the colors are going to be different, but she's clearly African American.
Yeah, she's clearly African American.
Okay. Is that all of them? That's all of them?
Would you read a comic with these characters in it? Even though 2 are technically, maybe 3 with screen time, are technically, like, insults.
Okay.
Would you?
If you got rid of Vampire Boy, yes.
Oh, you don't like Vampire Boy?
Vampire Boy! Okay,
I don't like screen time. He's a meme-obsessed boy who, because of not magic, but scientific internet gas, his brain is connected to the internet.
Twilight Zone.
Like,
Twilight Zone magical ripoff.
You mean Twilight? Like,
yes.
He's supposed to be related to Morpheus, which is a Spider-Man villain, ? Which is cool. I say question mark. for reasons I'll actually do in the video, but like literally, you would like, but like if you got rid of him, you literally get rid of the Red Power Ranger. Look at it.
The Red Power Ranger is the doofus of the group.
No, he's the leader.
He's the leader. But all of the Power Rangers I've watched, they're the doofus.
They're the doofus.
Okay.
Like,
the magical wizard ones that I'm obsessed with, the red is the doofus, and the blue is more like the leader. And plus, the blue's a girl, right?
yes,
Yeah, the blue's a girl.
I think the leader's gonna be Trailblazer, but dang. What is this?
Okay. Twins are cool. I like screen time.
You like screen time.
I like screen time.
You like the boy who has
the most memes.
Who speaks only in memes and whose head is stuck in the internet.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna guess this right now. In one of the comic strips, does he do the Pikachu face?
The comic hasn't come out yet.
I want him to do the Pikachu face. I'm sorry.
If
I want him to do one point in the background to do the Pikachu face.
If we weren't quarantined, would you read the comic with these characters in it?
Yes, I would read it. But funnily enough, I would only meme Vampire Boy.
You would only meme Vampire. Here's the thing. I actually like Snowflake, and I like being negative. I'm meh on...
Slushy. Snowflake is slushy.
How dare you?
I am not wrong.
They have done nothing wrong yet, besides the fact that their cover art makes it look like the siblings are dating, so that's kind of weird.
Yes.
You want to see the cover art for this?
Okay, show me the cover art. Like, show me.
It looks like...
Is it just a weird, non-official bromance?
No. See, it's canonic that, like, they're twins. So
they're twins, but they don't look like twins?
Well, they're supposed to be replacing these characters up here. So they're going to be, like... Each of these characters are going to be like the mentors / going to replace these characters.
Flash.
But look, not Flash. These are Marvel characters. God.
Yeah.
But look. They're supposed to be siblings. Look at this image.
Yes.
Look at that image.
Also, it looks like the girl, the non-binary person's got. I know that's
like
probably no, the non-binary person. I know that's probably the costume design, but it's got the one thing with the African American where they'll slowly turn white in some places. One
that your classmate has.
Yeah, that my one classmate had. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, cover art is okay until you realize that the Folgers ad is happening in the corner.
Why did you show me that?
Because you needed to suffer with the rest of us.
I hope people out there don't get it. Now in the description, you have to put the Folgers ad so people get some context.
No, those who know the Folgers ad will know the Folgers ad.
You gotta put it in the description, though.
Now you've buried me. 9 minutes into this video, you've buried me into a hole. Now I'm going to have to explain that I'm essentially writing fan fiction in my head for these characters, and the goddamn comic isn't released yet.
Okay.
Now with that minutes-long introduction for the video out of the way, I can finally start on the meat and potatoes of this video. That little video was just a pretty much first impressions / second opinions / I guess I'm never getting hired at Marvel. Oops. Oh well. Type of introduction. And to alienate anyone else that has gotten this far and was like, yeah, I'm here for the cringe, I write fanfiction quite regularly. It's a bad addiction of mine. I do write original stuff, but it's not as frequent. I also like reviewing things, both good and bad, and I'm actually taking a break from helping a good, internet friend, colleague of mine reading in solitude. I'm going to review one of his fan fictions, though probably not for a video. The thing is that I actually didn't have an opinion about this particular comic release. There goes my phone. I'm keeping that in, because what is quality after 9 minutes of a video, right? So, like I said, wasn't going to make a video. Everybody's got their thoughts. But the fact that everybody had their thoughts, and then I kind of did research on my own, I started to have the bad thoughts. The weeb thoughts. I'm sure if, more context was given, maybe it's not that bad thoughts. You know, those thoughts that get you kicked off of Discord servers. Those thoughts. And that's pretty much going to be the rest of this video, so drop a dislike. Drop any 3-letter moniker that you think I deserve, and while I'm not going to defend the bad PR of new warriors ? I'm definitely going to post my theories and kind of talk about how it could be salvageable, and more like what I would like to see as, I guess, the woke land whale that they're trying to advertise to. Those are words, right? These are words that comic book fans use, right? So, with that all said and done, let me get into explaining / verbally vomiting fanfiction ideas and ideas that I would like to see these characters go through, and maybe if they do go through them and they're done both respectfully and entertainingly, I might get rid of my social anxiety and maybe physically go to my local comic book shop that I haven't been to in, I think, a year. I tried once before to ask about their D&D night and panicked, because I'm like that. But that's a story for a different time. So, without further ado, let me try to explain stuff. And maybe I should pause and write a script for a sec. We'll see. First bit of disclosure I should put in on these theories is that I've actually never sat down and properly read any of the 90s New Warriors comics. I tangentially know some of the characters and plot points through some of the Avengers and other characters, such as Spider-Man. I remember being a early Saturday and Sunday morning kid and watching Spider-Man and Friends, where I was first acquainted with Firestar and Iceman before I found their actual properties that they were connected to. With that out of the way, let me summarize what the plot of this New Warrior and apparently Children of Adam comic that just got dropped. That announcement just got dropped while I was recording this, so that's fun. I don't know. If you want to see me make theories about those characters, or write little fan fictions about those, go ahead. Nobody watches my videos past 25 seconds. But to summarize the plot, after the one-shot Outlaw, there's technically a law that's pretty much forces young heroes to be sidekicks. You're not legally allowed to call yourself a hero under the age of 21, and you need a mentor, essentially. And I have very conflicting feelings about that. From a real life standpoint, that would actually be something I would advocate for, because superheroing is a dangerous job. But this goes into my first theme that I think the writers, if responsible enough, will tackle. And that would be the theme of authority versus personal belief. This is actually not a very uncommon theme in recent media and comic books, and even some cartoons, where the main characters want to do something, express themselves a certain way, but the rules of the authority, which in this case would be the restrictions put on by the new law, hinders them from doing that. In the past, with stories from Marvel such as Civil War, entire arcs were dedicated to this theme, and in my opinion done very well. Though, as I said, this is an increasing trend as recent, and the stories that I've picked up that see these themes have a lot of straw-manned positions. There are a great deal of real-life laws and systems that do cause discrimination and do hinder some people's ability to do certain things. That would be inherent rights given to those who are not discriminated by the systems. Though, like I said, by the previous straw manning, or turning real issues into characters and villains to merely be laughed at, really waters down what are very interesting and powerful plot points. That's why, if the writers do go down this path, I hope that it's only for the beginning arc, and that they set it aside for another potential theme that I will discuss right now. And that theme would be generational differences. The main selling point, which has backfired majorly, is that the new warriors will take on the new group of characters as sort of their sidekicks and mentor them into being approved of superheroes. The thing is, while the new warriors and a lot of superhero teams of the 90s were definitely more rebel type, and there's an interesting idea to be there of what were once rebellious ideas and measures, as well as values to be praised of in the 90s, aren't things that in the coming 2020s that people will think as that extreme or radical. So I would really hope to see a whole lot of friction between these cast of characters, as the older 30-something-year-old well-established superheroes have to try to find a way to get along with the teenager and early 20-year-old sidekicks that have their own issues and problems that they want to address and hopefully conquer so they can help others. I'd really be disappointed if I didn't actually see any type of infighting whatsoever, as the younger generation, with their set beliefs and what they think that they should be doing to be the best superheroes they can be, conflicts and maybe even damages relationships from mentors that could best help them. I also believe that it would be best for the story and the development of all characters that every difference that comes up between the generations isn't one and done for each issue. History is granular, and the development between understanding each generation and the compromises that they'll have to make in their beliefs in order to save the day is something that should definitely take time. With those plot points out of the way, I want to talk about each of the new characters individually, as well as my thoughts that weren't brought up during the first 8 minutes, as well as some potential stories that they can go through. as I am not actually writing out an entire story with them, nor do I have time to hire an artist to show what some of the new, costume critiques that I would have for these types of characters. You just have to bear with me on this. And that's why I want to start off with Trailblazer. Out of all the promotional material, she is actually the one we get the most information about. She has no powers, and it grows up in both foster care and as a child in the intercity. But despite these hardships, she volunteers her time helping people and relatively wants to be on the straight and narrow. The only thing I'll say is that I don't like her clothing designs. As a relatively large person myself, the bright colors just emphasizes her size and makes her relatively unattractive. While I personally love colors like bright reds, fuchsias, and teals, they personally have made me a target for a great deal of teasing, and it's exactly this color scheme that has gotten her the critical nickname of Dora the Explorer. Trailblazer has also had a confirmed mentor, and I think personally, by her character descriptions, will be the main leader of the younger group of new warriors. The main mystery about her is that she says that the backpack, which is essentially an infinite bag of holding with a mind of its own, was given to her by God, but not the God we think of. This raises the question of who gave her the bag. I'm going to leave it on the table unless a more, lore efficient Marvel fans know of another trickster god type figure. I think that Loki might have given her the bag. Not as any type of goodwill gift, but probably just to see her suffer. The concept of a bag that can hold everything means that she can have, at any point in time, whatever she needs, but also leaves her vulnerable to carrying burdens and secrets as well. And this will probably be her Achilles' heel once we learn the secret of the bag and who gave it to her. As she is such a well-rounded character, at least from the descriptions that we are given, I can't purposely think of any well-thought-out plot to give her to develop her as a character or scenario to put her through. I do feel like her journey should involve a lot of tests of faith and loyalty. Perhaps rivals or a villain has an object similar to hers, and this makes her question the intentions of the god that gave her the bag, and whether or not that it's truly her destiny to be a hero or even a good person. I think this will be critical for any potential readership liking her, because someone struggling with their faith, whether or not they have a personal relationship with a religion, organized or not, is definitely as big as a struggle as one's identity and other aspects of their life. Now I want to talk about my least favorite of the bunch, screen time. Personally, he's not the most original character in the bunch, and being a character whose probably personality is going to be mainly based on memes, I really don't expect that from him. I really wish that his costume was something a lot more interesting, because I do see other cartoon characters and even some other Marvel characters designs in his outfits, which makes me rather sad. After the trailer touted that these were going to be modern and memorable costumes. A theory that I would like to see come true is definitely a clarification on his origin story. The internet gas that his grandfather created could easily be changed into nanobytes or some other type of material that is more realistic but equally as fantastical as I guess, gas giving somebody access to the internet. And that opens up the idea for a storyline for screen time that I've called him, and that is downtime. An astronomical event, whether it be a solar flare, disrupts his access to the internet, while Trailblazer tries to help him realize that even without his cybernetic ability, that he's not worthless. He goes off and decides to wait out the event. During this time, he decides to help an old man or woman with some groceries to prove to himself that he's not useless. While this goes on, he develops a small friendship with the elderly person, and they reminisce about the good old days. When he gets his access to the internet again, he does a facial recognition search on this elderly person and realizes that they are a crime boss that has eluded authorities for decades. With this new knowledge, he feels somewhat isolated because the information that he learned conflicts with the experience he had face-to-face with the person. He will eventually go with his morals and apprehend the crime boss, but will always have the lingering effect that he probably made the wrong choice. Another more technology-heavy storyline is based on a character that I thought of when the writer of this comic book said about characters giving names to take back a narrative. Hence, I came up with the Flash idea for a villain called NPC. Before video games took NPC as a non-player character, NPC was also used in D&D games to emphasize characters that only the Dungeon Master controlled. This leads into a story as a new Pokemon Go / live-action role-playing game starts to take storm with young teenagers. With a mixture of augmented reality and geocaching, kids and young adults run about going on fanciful adventures, but one online DM puts their adventurers in more danger and almost in deadly Saw-like scenarios. After a campaign becomes lethal for one of their party members, a group of teams seeks out the new warriors for help. With time ticking before the final boss of the campaign insta-kills the teenagers, screen time and the group needs to make a split decision. Do they use screen time's powers to cheat and help the teenagers survive the campaign, or do they use his powers to search the IP address of the Dungeon Master? Once again, siding with his morals, screen time will help the teens survive their campaign and even defeat the final boss, therefore letting non-player character escape. This is where I would, if I was in charge of this comic, which I'm not, open up a sort of mystery subplot between screen time and non-player character, even leading to a twist reveal that non-player character isn't hiding in the narrative's internet but our own. increasing reader engagement by creating a sort of ARG of sorts in which you can help Screen Time track down NPC for a final battle. Next on the roster is B Negative, the self-proclaimed bad boy of the group and relatively favorite among people who have reviewed the character design so far. In short, he's a vampire created after receiving a life-saving blood transfusion from presumably Morpheus. He has similar abilities and physical traits to Morpheus as seen in the 90s cartoon. With my first storyline idea, I want to flip the idea of Morpheus knowingly giving a blood transfusion to B Negative. Instead, in a breakaway from the team, B Negative goes out to search for Morpheus, but discovers that the day he got the blood transfusion, he wasn't the only one, and the rest of the patients died. While this is relatively bad, I want this to lead into a subplot line of a cult that is obsessed with a prophecy in which they create another monster that will be strong enough to hunt down and kill Morpheus for their own nefarious purposes. The second idea for a storyline that I had for B Negative is one that I called Metamorphosis. Those who have read the story by the same name by Kafka, you know where I'm going to go with this. A distressed family seeks out superheroes to destroy the evil influence that has taken hold of their child. Their child, reaching the cusp of puberty, is going through abnormal and unhealthy changes. In a sense, metamorphosizing into a monster neither alien or mutant, according to doctors. While the new warriors try to investigate, picking up hints of knowledge of the metamorphosis before they reached out to doctors, as well as evidence of abuse towards the child as well as other types of bigotry, the child reaches out to B Negative in a cry for help, in a sense wanting to know that they are okay and that someone cares about them. In a case of his trademark bad attitude that the comic wants him to have, he slips up and does the wrong thing, either by saying that it won't be okay, or even being dismissive to the child outright. This triggers the child to completely metamorphose into a monster that can no longer be helped and reasoned with, and the new warriors have to put them down. I had also thought of the same plot line with a happy ending, in which B Negative does change his attitude at the last moment to reach out and save the child, in which revealing that had a psychosomatic power in which they would always slowly transform into what they perceive themselves as. Now I'd like to talk about Snowflake. I'm greatly concerned about this character. The representation in most recent Marvel books have not been up to my standards, whether it be characters coming out as parts of the LGBTQ community, reveals of characters being trans, and so on. Every character seems to either be offensive or a caricature filled with stereotypes of how a character in the LGBT community behaves. I really don't want this for Snowflake, since their whole shtick is taking back the fragile, instantly melting individualist that the joke of Snowflake is supposed to represent. However, this traps Snowflake in actually being too bland, making them being non-binary a moot point, or going back into stereotyping and only letting them fight straw man villains to represent poorly presented arguments. There's a lot of creative potential in Snowflake that I feel like is going to be wasted, not just in their naming scheme, but also how they use their powers, such as having for each panel the fractals they use to create a snowflake be different each time. In short, Marvel has created a lot of token LGBTQ characters and not enough characters. And I'm really hoping that the potential that they say Snowflake has isn't washed out. The last character that I'll talk about is Snowflake's brother, Safe Space. While I can understand where they're going for with the take back the narrative of naming themes, I have to say that it cuts out a lot of potential originality, and I hope that naming and costumes do change as characters develop. Especially Snowflake's and Safe Space costumes, because they're very reminiscent to the costumes used by Zodiac Star Forces, the American Magical Girl series owned by Dark Horse. I definitely see it in the vests and the very sporty attire that they use. Besides that, there's really nothing I can say about this character since it's so deeply tied into Snowflake. However, I do have an idea for a safe space-centric plotline called Differences. Two aliens tumble to Earth, pitted in mortal combat. One a gnarled old creature, while the other one substantially younger. Safe Space throws up a wall between the two that seems to blind the older one to the younger one's presence. This allows the younger one to communicate to the new warriors and explain their culture. The alien is from a asocial species that only reproduces when either conflicted by a decision or thought. This results in a asexual reproduction in which the conflicting thoughts live in separate bodies. Due to the nature of being an asocial species, on the creation of the two creatures, they begin to fight to the death. And the older of the aliens will not stop fighting and causing damage around the city until one of them is destroyed. Safe Space and the rest of the team try to find a peaceful way to ensure that both of the aliens can live without having to engage in mortal combat, though as more damage is caused by both the older and younger aliens, Safe Space reluctantly has to throw down his shields and let the two aliens duke it out to the death. And that's all my thoughts, theories, and ideas that I would use to try to salvage this comic book line. Sadly, due to the state of comics right now, I don't think that will be the case, let alone that print might be dead, depending on how the big sick happens to American industries for much longer. I made this video as kind of a way as a message of hope for those who kind of feel a little downtrodden by the backfire of New Warriors and Children of Adam. I very much subscribe to the idea that no idea is too bad if the right team's behind it. And I seriously mean that. If the right team was, say, put behind the idea of, say, a alternate timeline where Captain America was trans, I feel like if done with the proper care and given the right team, then even that would be a good comic series. The thing that we really need to think about when it comes to comics and any art form in general, it's about expression and the relationship between creator and audience. Something that's been declining in comic books, at least in mainstream comic books, for a few years now. If you look back at my channel, podcast, and things that I've reviewed already, I'm definitely a person that puts stock in potential and passion over objective quality. In my mind, all art, even art that doesn't use visuals or audios, can be broken down into a triangle of character, art, and story. And then it kind of gets complicated from there, whether you're using existing IPs, what message and budget you have, and general overall reaction. I'm also under the controversial belief that interpretations, critiques, and reviews are art in themselves, in a sense remixing what is already there, while in some way paying respects to the original art. Does that kind of make me weird? By putting a bunch of shapes on screen with the analogy that even bad ideas can be good if the artist is good enough? Well, for me, it's just a hopeful thought since, like I said, I'm a fanfiction writer that's never published a book that's really sold. I believe my link to my Wattpad is still somewhere on this site. But I think that's that type of way I view things that at least makes the things that I make somewhat mildly appealing. Sure, my videos have never gotten more than 5 views in 3 years, but I don't think I need that in order to express my thoughts. I don't think these characters are going to really be the end of comic books as a medium. Old digital comics such as Homestuck are getting a revival, and with webtoons and Tap Pass, there are still plenty of stories being told, just not by the main publishers. I think we're reaching an age where if you want to look for creativity, where you can truly be an audience or a creator, that the threshold has quite lowered. And I think that really, during this age of collectively coming together to pretty much explain to Marvel why a character called Snowflake and Safe Space probably aren't good character names, shows that we still care about stories that both are escapist and challenging. Like I said before, that I tend to enjoy challenging low or heavy media. I just said I read Homestuck. But none of the characters that Marvel or even DC have produced are stories that really resonate with me. As me being a weeb, I'm not technically the audience. Maybe, but I don't want to give up the geese for the golden egg. We should really as both all creative people, no matter what their skill level is, should try to make the best stories and medias that resonate with them. While New Warriors doesn't seem to be my cup of tea, I can sleep soundly knowing that if I could think of these ideas just off the top of my head for these characters, that other people will come around and write other stories and other things that interest me. If not, I can make my own. And I should really and I definitely encourage others who have a creative mindset to, while not fix mainstream media, definitely try to create the things that we would like to see. This video is almost an hour long, so I'm going to end it here. If you liked this video, please subscribe and comment on what you thought about it. And if you didn't like the video, go ahead and do the opposite. This video was really just for fun, and at this point I really don't know who's listening. So I'm gonna leave it here, and I'm gonna give you a little special reward. It's leftover audio from the intro from me and my sister, and if it's something you like, I don't know. I'm very sleepy. Bye.
Whenever you don't like something, you write a fan fiction to try to make it better.
I know, it's a curse. Somebody end me.
Okay.
Thank you, Marvel. You did it again. I'm not going to say what you did it the first time with, but damn it.
I was about to say Lollyrock, but
Lollyrock is owned by the same people that own Totally Spies.
Okay. I wouldn't have been okay with you doing Totally Spies, because Totally Spies is good.
Because Totally Spies is good, that's the reason I don't write fanfiction about it.
Yeah. If it's good, you don't get a fan fiction from this girl. If you get a fan fiction from this girl, you know you've done something wrong.
No, either I love you and I just didn't like how it ended, or you inspired me, or I hate you. Only 3 things.
Yeah, you did it with Lollyrock because you hate that they destroyed Best Boy.
Well, they killed both Best Boys.
Yes.
And then they didn't make season 3, and I'm like, ah!
I know.
That's all about, like, the shame of French magical
Okay,
girls.
what they could have done...
Why has this gone off topic into Lollyrock?
I know this is going off topic, but it's going to go really quick. The thing that they could have done that ending just as well and still kept it going is Best Boy, the young Best Boy goes, is like, I hate being evil, let me join you, and then be like, okay, and she's like, how dare you betray me? I'm gonna kick your butt now. They could have done that, and that would have been okay. It would have been better than him being smashed by a boulder.
I'm going. This is supposed to just be the intro of a video.
This intro has already gone to like 5-6 minutes-ish long.
Poor innocent people that have got this far in the video. Please leave a comment if you want to hear us talk about goddamn Lollyrock. This was not how the intro of this video was supposed to go.
We were just supposed to do that guess that name thing.
It was supposed to be the guess that name thing, and then it was gonna segue into me with the goddamn fan fiction.
Yes, but now it's turned into Lollyrock and how Snowflake is supposed to be slushy.
They did nothing wrong. They did.
Goodbye. Go talk about your fanfic.